And we're live. Welcome to today's live session. We are talking about tap water. Is it toxic? Is your tap water toxic? I think this is a super important conversation. I'm your host, Samantha Salmon, National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach, alongside my mom. How you doing, Ma?
Good, thank you.
I would love to ask you all, those of you who may be watching live or watching the replay, what's your experience with tap water? Do you use filters? How are you feeling about tap water? I'll start with you, Ma. What is your thoughts and feelings about it?
Okay, I don't trust tap water. I don't even trust it on my skin, but honestly, I can't do better. I don't drink it. I use it for cooking, but I filter it before I cook with it. I use the filter the water to wash my salads or anything I'm going to eat raw. I use filter the water to wash it. We do not drink the water from we don't drink filter the water. We buy bottled water. Unfortunately, we are buying plastic bottled water, which to me is just as bad, but we can't do better. I wish we could. We had a system that we were using before with I think it was Mountain Dew.
Mountain Valley. Mountain Dew doesn't
Mountain,
make water as far as I
okay.
know. They make soda.
Mountain, and I don't drink sodas. Mountain Valley, but those bottles are so heavy.
Yeah, because they're glass.
And we are older people. We cannot lift those bottles. They are extremely heavy. But I was very satisfied with that water. I felt safe with it. Because even being home in your own house, you don't really have to be drinking from plastic. No plastic container. You can use a glass and drink the water coming from a glass bottle. But as I said, unfortunately, we're drinking from plastic. So my experience with the tap water is not a very good one, because lately when I turn on my water, it comes out looking like milky look, which is something that I'm questioning. So even to filter it, I have to let the water run a very long time, and then I catch it in a clear glass bottle to look to see how the color of the water before I pour it in the filter. Yeah. So I don't know what's in there, but I did. EV, the Environment Control, the water company, they sent a notice to us once about having the water tested for lead, if lead is in the water. And if they come in to test our water, it's going to cause us. So I asked them if I can do my own testing. They say yes. So they sent me a kit where I would be able to test the water. And I'll be able to catch the water and send it back to them for testing. I won't be doing the testing. They would, but I have to catch my water, send it back to them. But I have to have the water don't use the pipe for 8 hours. So maybe during sleeping or whatever. So, but I mean, I don't know who really do that, because once you go to the bathroom, you're flushing. So we have to
Yeah.
find a way to do it.
Yeah, I guess they're hoping people aren't running to the bathroom throughout the night, which I guess a lot of people do.
Oh,
So, yeah, what's the turnaround time? Do you know, like, once you catch the water and you send it back to them, how soon do you get results?
we're dealing with the city. City don't move fast on anything. And considering if lead is in the water, we've been having lead for such a long time. I don't know. The damage is probably done. Hopefully not.
Well, we're going to take a look at your water, actually. So, we're going to dive into our municipal water supply to see what's actually in there. But first, I wanted to start with this quote from Dr. Nasha Winter. She's a functional medicine doctor who works specifically with cancer patients. And in her book, she has this quote. She says, tap water from city drinking systems can contain fluoride, for example. And I know a lot of us were talking about fluoride since RFK Jr. has been, mentioned to be our like health czar. I
Right.
forget the actual title that he's holding now. What's the title now? I'm
You know,
missing it now.
RFK Jr.
Yeah, I know he's overlooking a whole bunch of different departments, but I can't remember now what the
Maybe chat,
title is.
maybe chat can tell me.
Or Google, you don't use Google anymore? Yeah, that's so RFK Jr., United States Secretary of Health and Human Services.
Okay, all right. That I should,
Yes.
because he was the one who was against the vaccine. I should remember that.
That's the only, because everything else he talks about, like, nobody wants to listen to, right? Like,
No, I
getting rid
listen.
of processed foods and over, you know, drugging people and all this stuff. All they want to talk about is vaccines. All they want
No,
to talk
I
about,
listen to him, but they use that a lot about it.
because they have an agenda. This is
Uh,
this is when people want to bury you in the public, right? They will manipulate the conversation so it only focuses on the things that they feel that people will stone you for, right? And even that conversation is not a fair conversation, but we'll save all of that for another episode. But fluoride, he's brought it to the national conversation, and it's so funny how people are like, oh, this guy is because he's not a doctor, he's not educated, he doesn't know. And it's like, well, what makes someone educated? Doesn't that mean you read? Like, you don't have to be a doctor to read. So I'm trying to understand,
'cause you can self you can
yeah,
self
people
educate.
study. Like, that's why libraries exist. Are they expecting all of us to pay tax for libraries for people not to read? The dude is a lawyer, which tells me he reads. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't
But
be a lawyer unless you read, right?
I'm quite
So
sure when you go to university, the professor is not going to read to you. You have to do your reading. You have to do your study.
that's most of what you're doing, because honestly, most of your schooling in college is in the books outside of class.
The books
Class, they're
are
repeating the stuff you already read. They're expecting the books to teach you, basically. So it's like, and then graduate studies is what people are doing research. What is research? You're reading, you're asking people stuff. Like, so like the public, it's so funny how, like, when they want to drag people, they're themselves not using analytical thinking. Their strategy is more to bury somebody, and flag them, tie them to the pole and flag them in the public. It's a very, like, basic. It brings humanity back to, like, our lizard brains, our ancestors who were cavemen and just didn't know how to have actual conversation about the nuance of science. Science has nuances, you understand? Even the conversation around the vaccine, what just happened with the COVID-19 pandemic, there's a lot of talk from professionals in the medical field that this doesn't even qualify in their eyes as what we know to be a vaccine, because they've done some different things to this thing. So anyway, all of this is worth conversation. The fluoride conversation has been discussed by functional medicine doctors, holistic dentists, right? Public health professionals. These are people with degrees, with all the letters behind their name, and they're concerned. And so for anybody to say, oh, this is stupid, it's safe, and da-da, it's like, no, actually, it's science. People who read are concerned. You understand?
right.
And so just because you're not paying attention to it doesn't mean there's no reason for concern. But anyway, let's go back to this quote. So she says, the tap water from city drinking systems contain fluoride, and several detrimental health effects of fluoride are beginning to surface, one of them being that it has been found to increase angiogenesis in the skin and bones. So I'll pause right here. Angiogenesis is basically the formation of blood vessels, and our body naturally does this, right? But when it happens, like, there's too much angiogenesis going on, that typically signals that there's a tumor growing, because tumors will pull in blood vessels to feed itself so it can grow, right? And so basically she's saying fluoride causes tumors to grow, specifically in the skin and bones. And she says with skin cancer, the number one cancer today, I can't remember when she wrote this book, actually. I should have looked that up. But she said further investigation into the role of showering, bathing, and swimming in fluoridated water may have in promoting angiogenesis is warranted. So I hear her saying basically we need to investigate, we need to study, we need to do more research so we could feel more confident about the fact that we are fluoridating most municipal water supplies. It's not everyone, not all cities have fluoride, but most do. And she says, yeah, so we're going to go into that. I was curious though when she said skin cancer, the number one cancer today. Again, I should have checked when she wrote this book, but I looked up on what site is this here? NIH, National Cancer Institute section of NIH. Where they have the cancer stats, and y'all can see this on the screen. I know, Ma, you can't see it, but it says here in 2024, so this is the most up-to-date, roughly 2 million people will be diagnosed with cancer in the United States. An estimated over 310,000 women and close to 3,000 men will be diagnosed with breast cancer, which makes it the most common cancer diagnosis. So specifically, breast cancer is the most common right now. Okay. And speaking of which, if you look at the description to this video, wherever you're watching this, I do have an upcoming masterclass on breast cancer and the impacts on our brain health and what we can do, you know, if you know somebody who's going through this, how they can optimize their metabolic functioning. Right. So that's coming up on March 20th. So you can mark your calendar for that and make sure to register. So I want to look at our water. So Environmental Working Group, they have a database called the Tap Water Database, right? And they recently updated it too. So here you go to the website and you put in your zip code. I'll start with mine, Mom, since I live in a pretty small municipality compared to yours, right? We're not New York City. So we only have in my area of the world 6 contaminants that exceed the Environmental Working Group's health guidelines, okay, and 19 other contaminants. But the 6, they say, concede the health guidelines. And they have some notices here that are important because they say here legal does not necessarily equal safe. So they have on the website where they show what the legal limits for certain contaminants are. But it doesn't necessarily, just because it's legal doesn't mean it's safe. And they go into detail here. Getting a passing grade from the federal government does not mean the water meets the latest health guidelines. You mentioned how the government is slow, right?
Marijuana is legal, but it's not safe.
Exactly. Just like alcohol. Alcohol is linked to most cancers and it's still being sold. Actually, during the pandemic, the government made it easier for people to get their hands on alcohol, and that had detrimental effects for whole families. They go on to say on the website, legal limits for contaminants in tap water have not been updated in almost 20 years. The best way to ensure clean tap water is to keep pollution out of source water in the first place. Mm-hmm. So in my water, the ones that they're saying exceed their health guidelines, right? Is arsenic and some radium, some other words that I can't even pronounce, right? All of them, they tell you the potential effect that they're linked to cancer. So all of these, the 6, are linked to cancer. Here, you'll notice PFAS, right, which we've talked about on the Raw Food Health Empowerment podcast. So you can make sure to subscribe to that. The link for that is in the description. But PFAS chemicals, they're a member of a group of perfluorinated chemicals used in many consumer products. They're endocrine disruptors, but they also cause cancer. They harm the immune system. They harm fetal growth and child development. They harm the liver, right? And the liver is needed to process and metabolize excess estrogen, which is, implicated with hormone sensitive cancers, right? So we're talking breasts, uterine, testicular, that type of thing, right? So all of these things cause cancer. And then there's some other contaminants that they detect in our water: barium, chromium, manganese, fluoride is listed here. But they don't have a stance on fluoride. So I'm really looking forward to that conversation being more prominent on the national stage. Now, we're in New York City. New York City water servicing almost 9 million people. Okay, you have more contaminants than me. 8 that exceed the Environmental Working Group's health guidelines. 22 total contaminants. So let's see what those 8 are. And I think you took a look at this before, right, Ma? Because I think I sent you the link.
Yeah,
what were your thoughts when you looked at what was in your water supply?
I was wondering, should I take a bath? And I take long showers, and I think that is just as dangerous as taking a bath. But with a bath, you lay in the tub for like 20 minutes, so there's a lot of things. Because you said they only check in for, in New York, I tell you, they're only checking for lead in the water. But there's so much other things that you don't want in your body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I feel sorry for the not so privileged people that just cannot afford to go and buy water. They have to filter the water and drink that filtered water, which we used to do this a long time ago when we first came here. But my mom, I think I told you that she would never drink the water unless you boil it.
And that's the thing, these cancer-causing chemicals, boiling them don't remove the chemicals. Boiling removes germs and bacteria, but it doesn't remove chemicals. And these are all cancer-causing. I'm looking at New York City's water, the 8 that Environmental Working Group says exceeds, the healthy limits, right? All of the potential effects listed here are cancer. And you had mentioned the shower, right? Which is something too that, we have on our shower, we have a filter, which we've had for years now. And of course you change it. You have to change it regularly, but you can put a shower filter on. For homeowners though, it makes more sense for homeowners that are, they are, what's the word? Aging in place. They are part of the community. They plan to stay there. That's their home. You're not moving around like myself. I've lived all over America at this point, right? Then it makes more sense to actually have a filtration system at the source. So all the water coming into the home is clean. So I have my in-laws have something like this. It's a reverse osmosis, filtration system. And I think on Environmental Working Group, when you scroll through past all of this, they have recommendations for filters. Did you take a look at that, Ma? I don't know what your thoughts were.
No, I didn't look at the filter. I was just reading all the stuff that was in the water. But I think where would they put the filter? In the main line of the water, where the water coming in?
I believe so. Yeah. So and I'm not an expert on this, but my understanding is that there's like a water tank that services the house, right? That comes in from the main.
No.
So you explain to me how it works for your house.
It's just a pipe that brings in the water from the main. But we have I think I understand how it probably works. Someone would have to come here and connect it to the main pipe that brings in the water. Yeah. Yeah,
because my understanding, the reverse osmosis filter sits between the city and the home water, right? So the water from the city comes into the filter, and that filtered water gets distributed throughout the home. So shower, sink, bathroom, everywhere that you would be pulling water out. Even your I would think your washer, dryer, toilet, everything. I would assume,
Yeah, because that's the main entrance for the water. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for folks who have pets, I mean, I remember back in the day, because we didn't really have dogs in the house or anything, because you're allergic, right? So, but I feel like I watched TV shows where folks had dogs like drinking out the toilet water. They would do that, like drink the
Yeah.
toilet water.
Yeah.
So, and when these dogs, domesticated animals, they take on our diseases. So I would think that a pet owner would be concerned if their dog is drinking water with cancer causing
Exactly.
elements in there. So, but yeah, so you can check the recommendations for the filtration systems actually at Environmental Working Group. And see, I think there's probably, if it's not a reverse osmosis filtration that you can get for the whole house, maybe they only have that where you place it under the kitchen sink or something like that. It could be a carbon filter, but there are filtration systems that service your whole home, so you don't have to worry about filters on everything.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But
Which would make sense.
for folks like myself who move around a lot, we have filters, filter on the shower. Because like you said, I like to take hot showers. I think my hot shower at night helps me to fall asleep really quickly. And, that's not something I'm willing to give up. So I think that,
I love
having
to
a,
take a bath, but I don't trust the water. That's what I'm saying. Because when you lay in the bath, everything is just there for the water. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, which
I
is why
don't.
it makes sense to get a filter.
Yeah, I don't
To
trust
get
it.
a filter. Okay, so all of these things, chloroform, chromium, all these words, I can hardly pronounce these words.
If you can't pronounce it, it's not good.
That's in your water. And then they have these other contaminants. Fluoride's also listed here, chromium, chlorate. So both of our municipalities, we have fluoride in our water. So, so basically, the concern that she's bringing up is a really meaningful one, I think, of paying attention. Yeah.
Did they say they have lead in the New York City water? They didn't say. They would.
Um, Lead. I don't know if
You don't see that
I
there.
don't see it listed, but I took screenshots. So
But
like,
I
let
think
me.
I think what they're really saying though, they say because of the time this house was built,
Mhm.
or many of the houses were built a long time ago, that the piping that they use lead piping.
Yeah.
So they want to know if because of the piping, if any lead is coming in through with the water. I think that's what they probably meant. So I don't think the lead is really coming. Well, the lead is coming from the city because they don't change out all the piping that they have there, bringing in the water.
Yeah, lead is not listed on EWG's site for New York City,
Okay.
unless there's another name for it that I'm not recognizing. Um, yeah, I wasn't a chemistry major, so I preferred physics over chemistry. But I think it's worth investigating because, folks, like you mentioned, there are people still showering in this. And, we've had conversations in the community like, oh, this person eats this way. How did they get cancer? Well, this is how you get cancer. Like, it has nothing to do with diet. Even washing your produce in this water, that's not filtered. You're basically eating cancer. Even if you bought organic produce, right? You spent the money on organic produce and you're washing it in the tap, you're eating cancer, right? And every time we shower, we brush our teeth, our mouth is very porous. That's the one area I need to work on for myself. That's why I know I'm not immune to getting cancer. I don't think any of us are,
No.
but I when I brush my teeth, I'm using tap. There's no filtration system on the sink where I brush my teeth. I know some people who they bring in like filtered water in a
Water.
cup or something, but it takes work and energy to put myself in that
I
amount
just
of
feel, yeah, because
inconvenience, you know?
Just taking a cup and washing them out. I don't even feel
I
the
don't
things
like
that.
that.
You know what I'm concerned about? People with young babies.
Yeah.
And they use that tap water to give the baby a bath, give the babies bath. Now that to me, their pores are so tender and very porous, you know. I mean, things absorb through their skin so easily. They get burned so easily. Just imagine putting a baby in that dirty water.
Yeah.
I mean, let's put it this way. I'm guilty of that too, because we didn't have filtered water bathing our babies.
You know, and then I don't know that I would assume that our water supply was this toxic in 80 whatever, or 70 whatever.
Well, in
Um
here at some, because let me tell you, they've been changing out the piping. I've seen them change. That's why we have new sidewalk. They have been changing the piping. So yes, we have had toxicity in our water for a very long time. But the new pipe that they put in now, maybe that's why my water is like a creamy looking color.
it could
What is
be.
that? What is that?
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned babies, right? Because I just find it so fascinating that and I mean it makes sense, people are concerned about the kids. Uh but it's clear to me they're more concerned about the kids than themselves, like in other
No,
adults.
no, because let me put it to you this way. You have to be concerned about the kids because that's your responsibility. Being concerned about the kids, you're being concerned about yourself. Because you don't want to bring kids into this world and ruin them for the future. You don't want, 20 years times a year they come down with certain things and it costs them because of the water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's parents' responsibility to be concerned.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm quite sure those parents who talking like myself, concerned about myself also. We concern about ourselves.
Yeah, and I actually there's and on the masterclass that I'm hosting, I'll go into more detail and I have resources for folks. Like when we start talking about body care, right? So for me personally, I use lotion on my body that is specifically for babies. It's actually the Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade's family business. Actually, they have a company called Proudly, and it's they have lotions, body oils, like balms and stuff, and it's specifically for babies without any kind of chemicals, paraben, phthalates. It's like for sensitive skin for babies, hypoallergenic, all this stuff. So, and I use that because it's like, because people care more about babies than they do adults. So I'm safer with the baby products. You understand? And so, but as you're saying this, I'm just
We
thinking
should
like,
do the same thing to baby food. Be careful with the baby food.
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
there's some companies like that I know. I think that's what the woman that started the Honest company, she's an actress too. I can't remember her name right now. But I think it started along those lines. But I'm just thinking about the people that spend the premium for those types of products, that have less chemicals. They end up spending more for those things. But if you're using that and still using tap, it's
Mhm.
like, so this is kind of like foundational, but not many people are talking about it.
Right.
And I feel like there's a lot the government could do, right? Because now we're talking about the haves and the have-nots at this point, right? Because
Oh
to
yeah.
put in a filtration system for the entire home, because I feel like at some point America decided that clean water is a human right, right? And so we should all have water, right? Some people pay for the water though to the house, right? Like I know here we're paying for
Oh
the
no.
water, so
Oh no. Every house pay for water.
you paying for the water. Okay, so we
Yeah.
haven't decided that water is a human right.
Water isn't free.
The
Water
water
isn't.
ain't even free. But then the water we're getting is full of cancer. So it's like in order to get cancer-free water, you have to pay more. You know what I'm saying? Like I just feel like something's amiss here.
Not just the water though. The air is not free because the air we breathe, we have to pay for it.
It's
We don't.
expensive to live. It's just expensive to exist.
Okay.
Hey, DeJuana, thanks for joining us live. Yes, Jessica Alba. Jessica Alba is the actress I was trying to think of with the Honest Company. Thank you so much for that.
Okay.
Mike Otang, thanks for joining. Says, good afternoon, ladies. I'm happy I'm here to receive this knowledge. Thank you for being here.
Hi,
Thank
Mike.
you. And I would love
Yes.
to hear from y'all. Do you have filtration systems? And I'm thinking, like, for the folks who have them on their sink and you're using actual clean, filtered, uncancerous water to brush your teeth, let me know what you're doing, because I feel like this is the area for me where I need to grow and develop. I like things to be easy. I like for there to be a flow. When I wake up in the morning, I wash my eyes out. And so I'm putting that water in my eyes, right? My tear ducts and everything.
Okay. I have a suggestion for you though. You should get you a bottle of distilled water and an eye cup to wash your eyes out. And when you're washing your face, and ask me if I do it, when you're washing your face, close your eyes so that the water don't get in there.
Well, the Sandman comes to our homes at night and drops. You never heard that before? So you have to wash that.
Wash what? Oh, the
You
eye
have to
cup?
wash the sand out your eyes, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I like
Can you
to,
use
you know me, I like to scrub,
you use
get
the
all
eye
that.
cup. The eye cup fits
It's
right over.
too localized on the eyeball, because I think that's what the eye cup is for, is to wash your eyeball out, like if you get something in there. But I need to
Right.
get in
Yeah,
here.
so you
So I
close your
like to
eye
do a full,
tightly, yeah, and wash
yeah.
your face.
But I think, I don't know. I have to come up with something. I've never seen like for bathroom sinks, and it has to do, I think, with the faucet itself, where you can, put a filtration system on it. I think for those you would actually need something underneath the sink, like a big tank or something, which is quite an investment.
Well, I think the best way for homeowners, for people who own their own home,
Hmm.
it's put it in where the main water is coming from. This way you're safer. Because
Yeah.
even the dirty water washing your clothes, that is not safe.
Yeah. I mean, technically, it's not dirty. It's just
It's
full of cancer
contaminated.
causing chemicals. Yeah.
It's contaminated water
Yeah. Yeah. Cancer
with all
causing.
all kind of stuff in there that you shouldn't be drinking. It's sad.
Johanna says, I'm brushing my teeth with bottled water. This spring, I'm buying a zero water filter to clean my food with. Oh, cool. Yes, I have a zero water filter. That's what I use to wash my produce too. I know with the store, we used to have an alkaline water filter, which we still have. It's just wrapped up somewhere. And you get the alkaline water from one section and the acid water from another section, and the acid water we used to wash the produce with. um but yeah, anyway, anything else we need to discuss around water? What's your big takeaway, Ma?
My big takeaway, as I said, after hearing all this discussion and for me, the city want us to send this water to test the water. I am kind of figuring for them to be so curious, it's got to be something more than lead in this water that they're curious about.
Well, I mean, they could be concerned with
I want
lead.
to know if it's just me alone in New York here that see the water look creamy. Even when it's in the sink, you can see the cream after the water run through the cream sitting there. Like,
Yeah.
what is that?
I remember I turned on the faucet. I think it was it 2 years ago. There was like a big hurricane or something that came through or something, and I was trying to fill up the bathtub with water, and I told you it was coming out blue. Remember?
Re-
Yeah, it was coming out blue. I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
"What is this?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
city water, cray. So,
So what's my take on it? I think I'm gonna try and see if I can check out that water thing to put on to put the filtration to put on my water coming in from the city to be safer.
yeah, I'm trying to figure out though, what is the city's role in this though? Like what,
Like,
like
You know,
cuz
you
cuz
know,
we keep talking about curing cancer, but it's like is this the right conversation? Because we know the carcinogens in our system right now, like that is surrounding the human body. And so what is the role of government in this if we're actually serious about what we're saying? Or are we just playing lip service? Are we just collecting coins from people to pay, for nonprofits to run infinitum,
I don't think they're doing
with no
much.
goal of actually solving the situation? Like, I just feel like we keep running around in circles having meaningless conversations when we see what's going on. And so what are you doing? Like, as the government or people that are into, like, what are we doing? So what are we, like, how are we solving this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We use water to clean things. What do you use to clean water? You can't.
Yeah, filters. Like, there's filters. So it's like,
But this is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, because I could see, like, when I do the filter with the charcoal, I could see the stuff there, right?
yeah.
But I still don't feel 100% safe that even although we have a charcoal filter, I never drink the water. I never drink it.
So the thing is, I showed you, you're using a Brita water filter, right? On Brita's website, they tell you right there, the filter you're using for them, because they have different types of filters, they tell you what exactly it takes out. They never claim to take out everything. You know what I'm saying? They're saying, this is what this filter takes out. This is what this filter takes out. Because I think we had a podcast episode about this, about water. And we were talking about zero water filter, distiller, all this different type of stuff, and the Brita,
So the Brita is the lower one then, lower.
Well, yeah, I would say it's the most affordable, accessible one for people. But if you want to get the most out of your water that Brita can do, you need you need the pitcher and the one that you screw onto the faucet. And that's just really for the kitchen situation, right? We're not even talking about shower. Like, for my shower, I use the Aquasana shower filter. But, I'm just thinking, like, all of this stuff is cost, right? And so it's like, basically, it just tells me, like, if you don't have financial means, cancer is more likely for you, right? And so some of these chronic disease is just pointing more to people with less financial means. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's beyond awareness, because, like, we could do a lot with awareness, especially with social media. Social media is free. It's so accessible. Most people are plugged in. People are getting aware. But still, health is kind of out of reach if you don't have the means for the infrastructure for something as basic as water. Like, we all need water. So what's the government's role in this? I mean, do we want them to have a role?
They need to. I mean, you have to pay for water, and it's not cheap. It is not cheap.
And it's full of cancer. So it's like, what are we paying for? Like,
but I'm asking.
So anyway, I have more questions than answers. Mike is asking, what's the best water to drink? Well, definitely clean,
Mountain Valley, Mike.
You keep saying Mountain Valley.
No,
you keep saying Mountain Valley is the soda. I'm sorry, no. See, now I'm getting confused.
Mountain Valley.
Yeah, I'm getting confused. You're right, Mountain Valley.
Yeah,
You said Mountain Valley and I heard Mountain Dew.
Because I said Mountain Dew before. Mountain Dew is a soda, I know that.
Yeah. And you know what? I like this water a lot, right? It's tasty, it's clean, it's healthy. It's in glass, so I don't have to worry about endocrine disruptors, right? But
that's what I drink.
Yeah.
We don't run out of this one. We buy them by the cases.
Yeah. But the problem, like, I wouldn't recommend it for everybody, because, people tell me, like, I literally had this conversation with two people. They're like, how much does that water cost? And I told them it's like $2 to $3 a bottle. I mean, it's gone up, inflation, right? And they were like, well, what's the difference between that and water from the 7-Eleven, So I had to go into the whole thing, And and clearly
And
for those,
I like it because it's in bottle, not plastic. I think,
yes. Yeah, and see, Dejwana, you know, right? She says that's what I drink because of the glass bottle. Exactly. So
yeah,
I know my audience here, they're all clued in, they're in the know. We don't do plastic, right? Because we, you know, we want hormonal balance. We need hormonal balance for healthy brains. We don't want to get cancer. Or we're trying to mitigate, you know, our risk of cancer, right? You can't like completely
remember
eliminate.
you used to order them for me, the Mountain Valley water, but the bottles were so heavy.
Yeah, because it's glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have the ceramic pitcher that the water comes through. But I can't lift those things up. And
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely for you, it just makes more sense to have a like a home system or a kitchen system or something like that that's more accessible. But I'm just thinking like from a public health standpoint, like what are we doing? You know.
you talk about gut bacteria. Just imagine all that bacteria going down into your gut
From what?
from the contaminated water.
Yeah, you see, you keep saying contaminated, Ma, because it's like it's potable water, right? So it's potable. I'm not gonna say there's bacteria in the water. I'm not gonna say that,
It's
but
bad,
that's
bad bacteria.
it's chemicals, cancer causing chemicals, and there's a difference between water with bacteria, right, that will make you sick, and
Do
then
you know?
cancer causing elements that basically destroy your cells, your metabolic
Okay.
health, and take a long time, and then you start growing tumors. You know what I'm saying? Specifically, Dr. Nasha Winters is saying the skin and the bone. So you're you know, working your way towards cancer of the skin and bone. You know.
We get our water from where? From the Hudson River? Is that where we get water? I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't even know if EWG even goes into that level of detail. It says source surface water. I don't know what that means. I don't know if they go into detail about that. Oh, you were asking about lead. They have a whole page just for that, actually. On lead. And I would show it to you on the screen for those of you watching live, but unfortunately there is some kind of like through my system that I'm using to broadcast, it thinks that it's a bot accessing the website. So it keeps asking like this weird question all the time. So I can't really show it to you. But you can go to ewg.org, go to the database, type in your own zip code and check out what's in your water and build a plan for yourself and your family. I think that's where we start right now. And I think it's worth having conversations from a public health standpoint. You know, what do we want the government to do about this? Are we just going to say, okay, if you don't have money, you're just at risk for cancer, and that's just it? Because cancer is so expensive, first of all. Like when you get diagnosed, like you have to have really good insurance. And even if your insurance is good, you know, people are still telling me they're spending tens of thousands of dollars on treatment. And so it's an expensive disease, not to mention, you know, the impact to your quality of life, you know?
Right.
Dejwana says, unfortunately, our health is not a priority in our government. Capitalism does not make it any better. Yeah, and I'm hoping with RFK that because he's bringing so many things from the functional medicine side, you know, because yeah, he's not a doctor, but he's paying attention. He's definitely plugged in to functional medicine, right? And the conversations that folks are having in that space. And I'm hoping that, you know, maybe something comes to light. Maybe we start actually talking about, you know, we claim we want to cure cancer. Well, why don't we fix our water first? You know, like get the carcinogens out our water. Maybe stop selling carcinogens at the grocery store, you know. So, you know, people are feeding their kids hot dogs and ham sandwiches. You know, these are all known carcinogens. Like not just yesterday did we find that out. Like this has been decades long that we've known that these are carcinogens, yet they're still in the grocery store. People are feeding it to their kids. And then you have commercials of these little babies with leukemia. And it's like, you know, do we really care about this though? Like this, the environment in America is not telling me that we care, you know? So I don't know. I think, you know, that's a larger conversation that we need to have more often. With that though, I'm a bless you all to have a great rest of your day. And definitely if you know someone who is going through cancer or has a family history of cancer, we have a webinar coming up March 20th. We're diving in specifically to breast cancer, the impact on the brain, and how to improve outcomes and how to work on prevention. This is specifically geared towards people, specifically women, less than 50, right? If you are 50 or younger, our rates of cancer apparently is increasing a lot. And I would definitely look to tap water as one of the issues. You know?
As 22.
Yeah, so I have some case studies from, like, one from a woman who's 33, and some other ones. So it should be a really interesting masterclass that we're doing with a workbook and everything. So come ready to listen, learn, take notes, and I'll see you soon. Thanks so much, Ma, for joining me. Thank you all for joining me live, and we'll see you next time. Take care.